Let's think about the three effects of male stereotypes. These stereotypes, they come to us, they pressurize us. We either refuse this pressure, which takes a fair amount of courage, or we accept it. If we accept this male stereotype, then a guy is, number one, far more likely to damage himself. There's plenty of research that shows that men who live under these gender stereotypes is twice as likely to experience depression and suicidal tendencies. That's because these stereotypes create a storm of negative emotions like confusion, fear, feelings of alienation, powerlessness, helplessness, worthlessness. And what's more is these gender stereotypes, these male stereotypes, cause a man to try to deal with this on his own. Instead of reaching out to other people for help, he deals with it on his own, and we need each other to work through our difficulties. It also causes us to suppress our own emotions, push them down. And whenever you take a negative emotion and you push it down, you don't get rid of it, you actually give it more power. It gets darker, heavier in your life. These stereotypes, they set an impossible standard. If you actually compare yourself with them, nobody can reach them. And it gets you so down. So say, for example, you think that, a real man has got plenty of muscles, plenty of confidence, plenty of cash, and yet you've got none of those. It can just break you. Number two, if we accept these stereotypes, males are far more likely to damage other males. When these stereotypes are present, bullying is so common, where you've got guys that have bought into this narrative, and then there's some guys in their class or their community who are more shy, creative, emotional, vulnerable, gentle. So common to bully those guys, to either verbally or online or physically. And although our culture is getting better at protecting the marginalized, these stereotypes still work disastrous effects, causing men to hurt other men. And third, if we accept these male stereotypes, men are far more likely to damage girls. In South Africa alone, 1 in 2 women in their life are sexually violated by a man. We'll come back to that in a future session. But the bottom line is that these stereotypes are ruining ourselves, each other, even society. What do you call the kind of masculinity that we're describing here? The Great Men Project has a name for it: toxic masculinity, which it defines as the negative set of behaviors that a man thinks he has to follow in order to be a real man. Now for the good stuff. How to break free from these male stereotypes. Number one, don't throw out masculinity with toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is bad, but let's not forget there's still wonderful things about being a man. I've got 4 sons, and I plan on raising them in a way they don't feel any shame in their very essence as men. The key is to embrace, a healthier kind of masculinity. Toxic masculinity says you need to be in control of women, but what about rather learning to serve women? Toxic masculinity says you need to defeat others, but what about learning to, collaborate with others? Toxic masculinity says, get all on your own and just you on your own, be confident. But isn't it better to build into community some real relationships with family, with your faith community? Number 2, spot the places these stereotypes are coming into your life. Is it your friends, the way they speak to you? Don't be weak. Or is it perhaps the media? Many famous male celebrities are famous because of their toxic masculinity. I'm glad to see some hip-hop stars taking it on, but still it's blatant. Or perhaps it's older men in your life, brothers, uncles, your dad. Maybe they're deep in these stereotypes themselves. Hey, sometimes I catch myself, my daughter is crying and I'm comforting and warm to her, where my sons cry for the very same reason and I tell them to pull it together. Hey, wherever these stereotypes are coming into your life, refuse to accept them. And then number 3, get in touch with your emotions. Pushing down your emotions is not a masculine thing to do. It's an unwise thing to do. Every human person, whether you're a man or a woman, you're an emotional person. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel lonely. And it's important to be able to tell some people you trust that these are your feelings. And then deal with anger. Anger feels strong, but it usually hides a feeling of powerlessness. You don't want to be driven along by anger. Much better to deal with the feeling underneath it. Number 4, respect, courtesy, compassion, and creativity in other men. Male stereotypes tend not to respect these qualities. You know, you need to be analytic, you need to be vocal, strong, in your face, and yet in business circles nowadays, it's been proven that men that have got these, nuanced interpersonal skills, that are more emotionally intelligent, they're often doing much better. Hey, we all want to be respected, but it's so important to respect others, especially when they got personality types that, don't fit the stereotype and are different from your own. And then number 5, lift each other up, not break each other down. I mean, we do care what our brothers think about us. We care what our male friends think about us. So let's be a good friend to each other. Let's encourage each other rather than being a critic to each other. You're a whole new generation. Which world do you want to live in?